Hello everyone, welcome to Native Mobile Bits. I am your friend Sachin Rajput and this is second part of our playlist WhatsApp clone using Jetpack Compose. So this is the first part which we have already covered and we are resuming the video from exactly same point where we ended in the first part. So as of now our app is looking like this and let's just go to UI folder. We have these components created as of now, app bar component, which is this one, and today we are going to develop our tabs component. Basically we are planning to develop this part today and we are going to build from scratch. So we will also get to know how we can use tabs in Jetpack Compose and so many other things with this custom indicator and all. So let's start today's video and let me show you one glimpse of our home screen. So let's close this and inside UI package we have this screen folder where we have all the listed screens, and as of now we just have home screen, and this home screen is basically this one, and inside our home screen as of now we have only app bar component design and we are trying to implement tabs component. Okay, so if we have a closer look here, so each of these tabs has two things: one title, and we don't have any icon as of now here, but we have one text which can be chat, status or calls, and another thing can be one counter, right? So we can have some unread count for chats, we can also have some unread count for calls tab. So as of now we can only think of these two possible things, right? One title, one unread count. So this is basically one form of data for each tab, right? So let's start by creating the data layer for us. So as of now we just had UI layer. Now we are trying to create one data layer. So we can just create one package data, and inside our data layer we need to create one data class which can hold the data needed for one tab. Okay, so let's create one data class and we can just create one Kotlin class and we can choose this option data class and we can call it tab data. Okay, and we will start with baby steps. So we are just going to first develop tabs with text and then I will show you how we can update it. Okay, so we are just going to add one title of string type inside our tab data class. Now we need to create one list of tabs. So basically we have these three possible tabs: chat, status and calls. So we are going to create one list of tabs for us which we can use inside our tab component. So let's go back to tab data class and we can just create one variable tabs, and it can be list of tab data, and we can add here the possible tabs, right? So the first tab can be chats, so we can just use tab data, and in title we can just pass chats. Now the next one we can add status, and one last tab for calls. Okay, so our tab list is ready, but you can see that Kotlin compiler is telling that we can remove this. We no need to define explicitly because Kotlin compiler can understand the type of the item of this list. So we can remove this. Now if we want to improve this piece of code, we can define one enum class here. Let's call it tabs. It can have one parameter called value of a string type, and inside our enum we can define few value. Let's say chats, and we can just take this, add it here. We can define one enum variable for status. We can take this value, add it here, and one last for calls, and we can take this value and add it here. And now we can access the value via enum class like this, and we can add in all of these tab data classes. So the next one will be tabs dot status dot value, and similarly tabs dot calls dot value. Okay, so now we have our tabs ready, and this is enhanced as well because we are using enums, so there is no chance that we are using any wrong string in any place. I know that in starting you can just think that okay, we are just having a string here, but I am thinking that we will enhance this project further. So let's say in future if we need somewhere some tab name, and I don't want to rely on strings everywhere, so we can just use our enum class. That's why we are trying to follow this practice to improve our code. Okay, now we can go to our tabs component, and inside our tabs component we can just use tab row. This is basically one predefined composable coming out of material 3 library provided by Jetpack Compose. So we can use this. Now we need to provide some value to this component. Okay, so the first thing we need to provide is selected tab index. It can be 0, 1 or 2. So for that we can define one variable and we can call it selected index, and we can use by remember, and inside this we can just use mutable state of any integer, and initially we are passing the value as 0. Okay, it is showing some error because we need to import these extension function get value and one more set value. Okay, now this error will be gone. For this selected tab index we can now pass this selected index. Okay, now we need to customize how our row should look like, right? So we need one modifier. So we can just create one modifier here, and first thing is we need the entire width of our screen, right? So we can just pass modifier dot fill max width, this one. Now inside our tab row we can pass multiple other things: container color, content color, and indicator. So basically what are these things? So if we go to the design, we can see this green color. This is called the container color. Now we have some content in each tab, right? So this we can pass inside content color. Let's see. So let's go to tabs component, and here we can use container color, and we can take the color from material theme dot color schema dot primary, because if we are inside light theme we need green color, and we have defined this here. So if we are inside light color scheme, our primary color will be green, and if we are in dark, so it will be gray. That's exactly what we need inside our tab row. Okay, so that's why we have added it. Now for content color, if we are in light we need white color, right? So we can just use, so we can use material theme dot color scheme dot this one. So if we go to the declaration, we can see that it's defined as white color in both of the color scheme, light and dark. So we can use this. Now inside our tab row we need to add these different tabs, right? We already have these tabs defined inside this tabs list, so we can just use this one. Let's close all of these things first, and we can just use tabs dot for each indexed, this one. So this for each indexed gives us two things: index of that tab and tab data. Okay, that's why we are using for each indexed here. Now inside here we need to use one predefined composable which is coming out of Jetpack Compose, and it's called tab. Okay, we can pass multiple things here, that if this tab is selected or not, what happens when we click on this tab, and how we want to customize it, if it's enabled to select or not, like if we can click on this tab or not. We can pass multiple things. So let's start one by one. Okay, let's take this in next line. Now inside this selected we can pass one condition, that if the current index is equal to the selected index, that means this tab will be selected. Okay, inside on click we can just update the value of our selected index with index. Okay, let's take a moment and understand what we did here. So we have added one tab component, and we are telling that this tab is selected if the current index is equal to whatever the value we have inside selected index. Okay, and if someone is clicking on that tab, we are updating the value of our selected index mutable state, and this value will be updated whenever someone will click on the tab, and we can use that in future. Okay, we got to know that if our tab is selected or not. We got to know what will happen when someone will click on our tab. Now we want to define one title for this tab, right? We have this chat or status or calls that we are getting inside this tab data. So for that we can use one text lambda which we have inside our tab composable. Okay, so let's use this text, and this is a lambda. Okay, so we need to surround it with curly braces, and we can use here one text composable, and for text string we can use tab data dot title. Alright, we can customize it little bit. Let's say we want to update the font size, so we can use style and we can use text style. Let's take this in next line, and inside text style we can say font size 16 sp, and let's import this extension function. Alright, so let's summarize this what we have done so far. So we have created one tab component, our custom composable. Inside this we are using tab row composable, which is coming out of material 3 library, this one. Then inside tab row we have one selected tab index which we are using as a mutable state also. Then we have one modifier which is taking the entire width. We are having container and content color, and inside we are using the list which we have defined for all the possible tabs. And as we have 3 tabs, so this loop will execute 3 times, and we are adding 3 tab composables, and each tab composable is having some text like this. Okay, so now let's try to use this tabs component inside our home screen. Okay, as of now we are just adding the app bar component. Below this we can add tab component, and now let's try to run our application and let's see if it's updating inside the UI. So we can see that our UI is updating, and as of now we have 3 tabs and indicator is coming in green color. Let's say we want to make this indicator as white, so we can just go to our tabs component, and inside our tab row we have this indicator. Okay, so we can use this indicator, and this is a lambda. Inside this we can use tab row defaults dot indicator, and inside this we can pass one modifier height and color as well. Okay, so first of all we can pass one modifier, and we can use modifier dot tab indicator offset, and here we need to pass current tab position. Okay, that we can do with tab position. This indicator gives us the tab position, and we need to find out the selected indexed tab position. We are just using tab row defaults which is having one indicator, and inside modifier we are using modifier dot tab indicator offset, and we are passing the current tab position. Alright, now to change the color of this we can use our material theme dot color schema, and let's say we want to make it white, right? So if we use this, this is basically referring to white color itself. Alright, now let's try to run our application again. I think now our tab indicator should be updated. So we can see we have one white indicator now. Alright, now let's say if we want to increase the height of this tab indicator, we can also do that. Let's close other things. We can use here height, and let's say we want to give 4 dp. Let's import this and run. So it will increase little bit, but we will not be able to see the difference much. Let's say if we do the 40, see it's taking the entire space, that's what. So we are going to use 4, or let's say, yeah, 4 is fine. And it's getting updated at the runtime as well. So we have the updated indicator. Now let's improve our tabs component little bit. So we have this tab component, and here we are using one text composable, but we are using it directly. So we can extract it out of this. So we can just create one composable function, and let's call it text, or let's call it tab title, and inside here we can add it one title parameter. We can use this one, and we can use this tab title as a composable here, and we can pass the value which is coming out of tab data. Okay, so basically we just extracted this component separately, and now we are using it inside our tab composable. Now next thing we need to do is we need to use this counter, right? So calls can also have some kind of counter if we have some missed call or something. So to add this count, first of all we need to update our tab data class, right? So as of now we are just having the title. Let's say we want to add the unread count. So first of all we need to update this data class itself, and for that we can just add one variable unread count, and this is going to be of type integer, and let's say it's going to be nullable. Okay, it can also take null value. So let's imagine that chat does not have any unread count for now, so we can pass null, and we can add named parameter for better readability. For status also, let's say unread count is null. But for calls, we have, let's say, 4 missed call or 2 missed call, right? So we can pass here some value, let's say 4. Now, inside our tabs component, we need to update how our tab content should look like, right? So as of now, we just have tab title. So either we can modify this composable, or we can create one separate composable where our tab title will have one unread count as well. And that will be straightforward and easy to understand. So let's create one new composable. Let's call it tab with unread count. Okay, and this will take tab data as the parameter. Now if we go to the designs, we can see that we have one title text, and then on the horizontal side itself, on the right side, we have this unread count, and this will be same for status and calls. Let's say if we have 4 missed calls, so we'll have calls, and then we will have 4 in the right side. That means we can take this inside a row composable, because row composable works with horizontal orientation, right? So we can define one row composable. We can customize our row composable. We can add vertical alignment with alignment dot center vertically, and we can use horizontal arrangement with arrangement dot center, so that our text for unread count will be in the center. All right, now inside our row composable, first we need the title itself, right? So we can utilize our composable tab title, this one, and we can pass the title from our tab data. Alright, then we need to add this unread counter badge. Okay, so for that, first of all, we need to make sure that we have this unread count. Okay, now inside this, we can add this scope function, and we can create one text composable here. Okay, so for text, we can pass it because it will be unread count, or we can also define here unread count like this, and we can pass this to our text composable by converting it to a string, because text will always accept a string, and this is integer which is coming out of our tab data, right? So we are converting it to a string. Now let's take this into the next line. Now we want to modify our text, right? So we can use modifier, and as we can see that there is some space in between this title and unread count, so we can add some kind of padding here, let's say 4 dp. we can take this in the next line. And for this text, we can add one size. Let's say 16 dp. It's not too big, but it will work. Now let's try to use this component. We'll modify it once we see how it's appearing, right? So we can minimize everything. Inside our tabs component, in our tab row, inside this for each loop, here we have this, right? So for each tab, what value for the text we want to provide, we are adding it here, right? So we can add one conditional check here, that if tab data dot unread count is null, then we are showing this, else we are passing tab with unread count and we are passing the tab data. Okay, we can also extract this logic in one separate composable. We can call it tab content, and we can just take this, add it here, and we can pass tab data to our tab content. Okay, and we can add it here and pass tab data. So basically now each of our tabs which is coming out of here will be having one tab component which is coming out of compose material 3, and inside this we are passing text based on logic we have, right? So we are having this tab content composable, and here we are checking that if unread count is null, then we are just showing the title, and if unread count is not null, we are showing tab with unread count. So let's try to run the application, and we can see that count is updating, but we need to modify this because if we go to the design, it should has a white background. Okay, so if we just see inside our light color scheme, we have background defined as white, so we can use this color. Let's go to this tab content, tab with unread count, and once we are inside this condition, this one we need to modify. Okay, so with modifier we can set the background, and we can use material theme dot color scheme dot background, and we can see that now it's coming as white background text. We need to make it circular, so we can use clip with circle shape and it will be circular. Okay, and it's not updating because we need to set clip before we set the background color. Okay, so these attributes in modifier matters because now we are making it circular first, then we are setting the background color as white in the circular area. Okay, now our text color should be green, and we can set this color with the help of style, text style, color, and we can use from material theme itself primary color, but we need to make it in the center. Let's increase the size of our emulator. Basically we are zooming it in, so we need to make sure that this text unread count is coming in the center, so we can align it with text align dot center. Let's set one custom size, let's say 12 sp, and it's updated. Now let's take this to the independent window, and it looks exactly like our design. We have our app component ready, we also have our tab layout ready. Now if we have some custom data, let's say we have some unread count for chat as well, we have some unread messages, right? So if we have added here some unread count, so it should update. Yeah, we can see our chat tab also has some unread count, status as it is because we have not added, and call also unread count is there. And that's it for today's video. In this video we have achieved the similar look and feel which we have in our design. Now we need to work on these screen designs which we will pick up in the next video. So stay tuned for that, and please support the channel friends, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you enjoyed it, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Also please drop a comment how you feel about this playlist and any suggestion in general in the comment section, and I will see you in the next video.